I think I'm about to shift my social media business pages from let's get things out there, get eyeballs, generate attention to let's have some really high quality assets that if people go to our personal injury or our Facebook page because they're thinking about hiring us for a personal injury case, they see like just only high quality stuff.
Sharp strategies, sweet success.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Tiffany Swidensky, and you're listening to Sharp Strategies, Sweet Success. Today, I'm here with Hunter Garrett. I know Hunter primarily from LinkedIn, and before we got on this call, I started to get more familiar specifically with him and his firm. I think we've only talked once before, and so it's really nice just getting to know him. But I primarily know him from his post on LinkedIn. Really appreciate his content there and his insights that he's able to provide to other lawyers. It was a pleasure to have his marketers, Paris and Andrea, join us at the Sharp Marketing Seminar in June. And it's a pleasure to have Hunter here on the podcast today. So, Hunter, if you don't mind, will you introduce yourself to our listeners?
So I'm a personal injury lawyer in Huntsville, Alabama. I practice pretty much statewide, but the majority of my cases, I'd say 95%, are just right here in the Tennessee Valley, which is North Alabama. I grew up the oldest of 7 kids on a family farm. I still have a farm and kind of fiddle with that kind of stuff. I have horses, and family is very important to me. I just had my first child. I just had a newborn, and I'm starting to get the hang of a little different work-life balance. But we've got a law firm here that kind of focuses on community involvement, a lot of referrals, a lot of grassroots type stuff. I'm kind of fall under Ben Glass's kind of philosophy on that kind of stuff. And so we get a lot of cases from like organic Google business profile leads. Those are probably 20 to 30% of our practice. Client referrals, attorney referrals making up the rest. And then just community stuff, just people recommending us.
So actually, I remember talking with you and giving you the advice to just record a lot of videos. And then sometime after that, and I looked at your TikTok account and realized like I'd given you that advice and you had already started. You have a very active TikTok account and you're posting quite a lot of videos. And it seems to be mostly personal stuff. And maybe I just haven't looked hard enough, but that seems to be, you don't seem to be posting too many like legal FAQs or things like that.
No, and I don't have like a scientific reason for that. Most of my cases come from my personal Facebook page, and I just I have several thousand friends or a few thousand friends, whatever it is. And it's a way for me to stay top of mind with like 2,000 people just through a short post or a short picture. So I don't do a lot of video on there. It's mostly written content, but I use that kind of to build. I think most of our cases come from what I call super fans, which are like people that go out of their way like to cut through the noise and give you a really exceptional recommendation. And so that's how I've gotten most of my cases. Now we're starting to really get some momentum. We're handling some of the biggest cases in the Tennessee Valley. And so we're trying to leverage that along with a little bit of video content just to kind of be everywhere. We're going to start doing some paid social ads, a little bit of paid search, not much, really just enough to appear like you can't go anywhere without finding us.
So that's so interesting that you're Facebook famous. And kind of the example I like to think of, and I'm sure this isn't true anymore, but I think Vin Diesel was like the first person on Facebook to have like 1 million friends or something like that. I forget what the actual stat was. But so you credit that just kind of presence on Facebook and just expanding your social circles that way as a big source of your cases?
Yeah, it's just a way to stay top of mind with people that know, like, and trust you at scale. And I think that's so important. Now, all these friends are local, 2,000 of them are going to be people from my little town of 20,000 people. But those 2,000 people have connections with the whole community. The roots go everywhere. And so you're basically, when you have 1,000 people that are thinking of you every 3 or 4 days, and they like you. They like a picture of you on a horse. They like your picture of your baby. My wife is very sweet and very popular. She's in dermatology, so she has a lot of patients from the community. They just need a little nudge before they'll go out of their way to recommend you in line at Walmart or to the person at church or to, whoever it might be.
So was this Facebook strategy intentional? Like, did you
No.
like set out like I'm gonna get real big on Facebook, or did you just naturally get there?
No, it was just kind of I think my first kind of strategic thought was like Gary Vee's philosophy of attention is a currency, right? And I just thought there's no harm in more people knowing me, liking me, trusting me. And so let me post stuff that kind of shows who I and I think I mean, it's maybe arrogant, but I consider myself a likable, trustworthy person. And so it's just put yourself out there. Just talk about stuff that matters to you. To be candid with you, I used to post a lot of political stuff, and I don't really much anymore. I do a little bit here and there, but mostly I just try to post feel good, community focused stuff, family focused.
And this is kind of more anecdotal observations just from the people that I see on Facebook. But, it does seem like it's pretty, like, I have friends who post like controversial, strong opinions that, I'm neutral. That's their opinions, then
Yeah.
it's a lot of discussion and I guess engagement, you would call it, likes and things like that. But the people who are mostly positive, who just have this kind of aura, to use a Gen Z thing. They seem to just do better on these platforms. They have more people following them. They get more engagement. The comments are more positive, and that, I guess, outside looking in, I'd much rather be with or follow the positive person than somebody who's negative, I guess.
I'll push back just a little. I think you need to stand for something. I think
Yeah.
it's good to I think your marketing content should repel a certain percentage of clients. For most small law firms, you can't expect to be the lawyer for everybody. And so, like, that's part of the reason that I'm very candid about my faith and it's in our content. Like, if you spend an hour looking at my stuff, you're going to know a lot of what I believe. And I want clients to know that before they come in, one, to help me stand out from the crowd. A lot of people appreciate a like minded lawyer, but others, not that I don't treat anybody differently based on what they believe, but they may not be comfortable because there's going to be like scripture on the wall. There's Bibles on the bookshelf. I'm going to be sprinkling in, little, anecdotes about my faith in almost every conversation. And if it's something they're not comfortable with, there's other lawyers that separate their faith and their personal life from their professional life.
And I feel like personally with Facebook in particular, let's say 10 years ago, Facebook was a distraction. Social media was a little bit less mature, I guess, than it is now. And generally, the attitude that at least I got at the time was that, not a good use of your time. And generally, like, there were also privacy concerns about putting your life out there in that way. That's kind of the negative stuff that I've heard about that in the past. But today, like, people need to be more authentic, so they have to show themselves, which means kind of putting that personality and private life out there. And then also, like, talking to you and talking to people I know who use like LinkedIn and these other platforms who say it generates a lot of business for them. Like, it's not a waste of time. It's not a distraction. It's an important part of developing this like personal brand identity. And it's just so interesting how these things evolve over, 10, 15 years.
So I think people are using Facebook groups like a search engine often, especially rural communities, suburbs. They're going to yard sale pages, kind of the local news pages, whatever it is. Not like news stations, but groups. Um, and they look for personal injury lawyers there. They look for car accident lawyers. They look for every type of service you can think of. And so I have encouraged my clients, my former clients, my friends, other attorneys to tag me and that kind of stuff. And it creates this kind of like snowball effect where other clients see it and then they start doing it. And I've had posts where there was one just like a month ago, had about 50 comments, 28 of them were people tagging me or my law firm. The other 22 were like 2 lawyers here, 3 lawyers there, 4 lawyers there. And so you get that case, and it wasn't a good case. I mean, not a good case, but people now in the coming months, they'll go to that Facebook group and they'll type in, they're not Google, but they'll type in the search bar, car accident lawyer, and guess what's going to pop up? The post where I'm recommended 28 times,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. So strategies I've heard involving Facebook groups before are awfully systematized, but it just sounds like you just are just asking people when you talk to them, like tag us in a Facebook group or tag us in if there's a car accident posted on the Facebook group, we'd really appreciate it. Do you guys do any tracking, or do you like, ask them to do a specific thing? Do you only ask specific people to do this, or is
And
it
my
just like
clients,
just your
oh,
clients?
it's kind of everybody. I tell a lot of clients on the front end when I meet with them, I give them this. I spend a lot of client time the first day that we meet, to build trust, and then also tell them what my expectations are. We have not a volume practice here, but we have hundreds of cases, and we handle the smallest soft tissue cases that you can think of. And the purpose is they're almost like a loss leader. Where I'm 33 years old, so I want to ingrain in them from day one. Here's what my expectation is: I'm going to treat you like family, and I'm going to get you a great outcome, and we're going to give you exceptional customer service, and blah blah blah. And in exchange, here's what I want: it's a small nominal legal fee, but I expect a Google review if that's your thing. I expect to recommend me on Facebook if that's your thing. I expect that you will want to recommend me to your friends and family. And I just tell them what my expectations are, and I also tell them what their expectations should be for me, of how often we'll communicate with them, how quickly we'll be moving the case from start to finish. Sometimes if it's a really straightforward case, I'll give them kind of a range of like, here's what you can expect to recover. No guarantees, but in my experience. And I found that conversation, I think our Google review rate is crazy high. I don't know the exact number, but it's probably over 50% of our clients leave a Google review at the end of the case.
So I really just love your very organic, you'd call it, approach to all of this stuff, because when I hear about these programs, like I said, they're also systematized. It's like, hey, pay us $2,000 and we'll use Facebook group to give you cases. And I actually had a law firm bought into a package like that once, and it resulted in absolutely nothing, because it was basically a scam. And because it's hard to approach these online communities with sales intent. People know, when you're posting something, for the most part, promotional in a Facebook group or promotional on Reddit, and those things get removed. So it has to be organic. Otherwise, it's just not going to pass muster, and you're just not going to crack that particular channel. Here lately, and I actually don't believe I've shared this with my mastermind group yet, but I will soon. But we're developing a Reddit marketing plan for law firms. And I wanted to do this because initially I was given a Reddit marketing plan that was very salesy. Like, go to Reddit, do this, do that. And it was a lot of like tricking, and we're just doing it to get a backlink and upvotes or something like that. But instead, like, I reimagine it, and it's like, let's approach Reddit like you would approach LinkedIn. Like, show up as yourself, offer helpful information, make posts, do comments, upvote, downvote, gain karma over time. And then when your team comes across, an accident post, you can confidently say like, hey, we help people with this all the time, contact us. And the post won't get taken down immediately. But it's a commitment, and it's this organic process of like engaging with Reddit, not as a marketer or a salesperson, but as an individual almost.
And I think you got to the kind of the core of my philosophy with Facebook, because that's kind of what it's, I paid my dues. I've got friends I've had for a long time on there, but it's outside relationships that I've developed that this is just a way to stay in front of them at scale.
So what about TikTok for you? Do you have a strategy that you're using specifically for that, or is it
Yeah.
more like a personal
Now, I'll tell you,
philosophy?
my social media strategy has always been find platforms that I enjoy and put whatever is fun on there, or whatever I'm fired up about. That's how I approach LinkedIn. Is I just, typically not really trying to get cases. It's just an outlet to use social media. Facebook's kind of the same way. And then TikTok, sometimes I'm hot and I'm cold. I'll post videos on I have a personal TikTok where I ramble about stuff. And then the firm TikTok is Paris, really. And they do cute little stupid office skits a lot. And then I'll send her every once in a while a selfie. I'll get 10 or 15 minutes of video that I'll just send her and say, see what you can make out of this. It's not a very efficient process or a strategy. But we get
Um,
some cases from TikTok, not many, like one a quarter, I would say. I mean, it's something, but it's pretty close to nothing.
well, and truth be told, like I hear more people saying I'm getting cases from ChatGPT than I'm getting cases from TikTok. Because, if we're being honest, if somebody's vetting a car accident attorney, they're probably not going to TikTok. They're probably going to ChatGPT or Google.
I'm starting to focus a little more on converting higher quality leads versus generating more leads. And I don't mean high quality in terms of case value, really high quality in terms of the type of client that I want to represent. And so I think I'm about to shift my social media business pages from let's get things out there, get eyeballs, generate attention to let's have some really high quality assets that if people go to our personal injury or our Facebook page because they're thinking about hiring us for a personal injury case, they see like just only high quality stuff, only high quality posts that's designed to turn them into clients. And kind of the same thing on TikTok. Like I want to do a little better job of just that's why I only talk about personal stuff on TikTok because I don't the frequently asked questions. There's lots of stuff out there. I want the people who are, God, they got it narrowed down to like 2 or 3 lawyers in the Huntsville area, and they're going to spend an hour looking at each one of us and go with their gut at the end of it. And I'm going to get that case almost every time if I do a good job of putting my authentic content out there. Is my mindset.
So you certainly sound like you see yourself basically having marketers take over company accounts to create high quality content. But as far as like your personal Facebook, LinkedIn, your personal TikTok, are you going to continue doing that as your company grows, or do you see yourself delegating any of those?
I don't think so. I think I'll keep doing it myself. I would love to have an EA in my Facebook inbox, but I just haven't quite gotten there yet.
I really like the idea of, or at least the mindset of approaching, like if somebody comes to our Facebook page, we only want to show them high quality stuff to convert them. Because you're right, if somebody is visiting an Instagram page and they're looking for an attorney, then they need to see that conversion stuff. They're vetting you at that point. So I guess I'm curious, do you see yourself like driving leads directly from like Instagram to like a phone call? Or like if you're tracking your calls, are they still mostly coming from like Google Business? Like how is that shaking out currently?
Yeah, it's Google Business calls, or that's where they're pretty much all coming from. Sometimes they call the office is like legit number, and that's from a business card. I still do a ton of old fashioned like boots on the ground. Monday, I took like 30 pounds of ground pork to half a dozen chiropractors in Madison, which is the next town over. And some of them are existing referral partners. A couple of them are kind of prospects. One of them was brand new. That's actually one of the best uses of my time is like getting out on the ground and going to my top 10% referral partners and just furthering our relationship.
So as far as like nurturing the referral partners, are you just going to them and giving them nice gifts, or is there like a e-newsletter involved? Are you planning for them to be one?
I need a newsletter. I tell you what I'm going to do. I want a newsletter. Yes. I don't have a newsletter yet. Right now, it's just relationships. Are you familiar with Jordan Harbinson, who does a podcast about networking?
No, I guess not. I'll look them up later though.
He's got a good show. He's non-legal, but I like I kind of took some of his stuff where I just try to text all these people like every 6 months and just like check in or comment on a Facebook post. I mean, like it's not that much work. And then I like to give really personal gifts if I can come up with something like a Benchmade knife, a custom knife with like their logo on it. Like that's my favorite gift to receive. And so like if I know somebody would like that, like I got Conrad that with Mockingbird, that was my gift whenever showing him how much I appreciated him. And then whatever I could think of, coffee mugs. I love custom coffee mugs. Star Wars stuff. Sometimes I'll find out like I got a chiropractor, he loves Star Wars. So I just get him like a nice watch or whatever. But then whenever I think of them, I just try to pop in and give them something. And I found with chiropractors specifically, food is good. I don't generally like giving food as a gift, but I eat real healthy, clean stuff. Like this is like no sugar no process. It's just literally just pork, just ground pork. And I'll take it to them and like tell that to them. And they usually take their health seriously too. And so it kind of shows like, hey, we're similar. We're the same tribe, that kind of stuff.
And what I'm really coming to admire about you is it sounds like you're just doing this stuff, but it doesn't sound like maybe like you're tracking it really specifically. Is there a spreadsheet where you're like tracking who you texted in the last 6 months? Are you?
If there is 100 of spreadsheets,
Oh, really?
but they
Okay, so
don't.
you're not unguided.
No, it's even worse. I like create a spreadsheet and then never open it back up again and like create another one and never open it back up. No, it's all my whole referral network is right between my ears, basically. Now, what I'll do, I try to go through my text pretty often and just scroll like way back and kind of look to see who I haven't talked to in a while. But we now, and two, like hand delivering checks, like I kind of keep a little feel for just, I haven't seen this guy in a while, or I haven't, but I'm trying to do a better job of tracking that. I need to know, okay, this guy hasn't sent me a case in 6 months, and the 6 months before he sent me five. Something's happened, but I don't track it.
So, what that you're doing now, do you think you'll move to like another team member as far as referrals go? What do you see yourself keeping solely like as the law firm owner versus what you're going to hand off to somebody else down the road?
I'd hand the whole thing off, if I could. I don't see anything that we're doing now that can't be done by somebody else at a reasonably proficient level. Now, I think the lawyer is almost always going to, I mean, I'm a good marketer. I'm a lawyer first. I shouldn't even start to say that, but it's like 1A, 1B. I'm a great marketer. And so the trouble I run into is I can do most of the marketing better than I think anybody that I could outsource to or hire, blah, blah, blah. And so for me, it's honestly taking a lot of other stuff off my plate and focusing on marketing is what I want to do. And then I want to scale kind of underneath me through assistants and fractional services and vendors and things like that. And just have a strategic kind of overview of soup to nuts of what I want in my marketing plan, and then implement the things that I'm the best at, which is probably going to be the kind of stuff we're talking about, really like one-on-one, like going to chiropractic clinics, going to other, law firm events. Like we generate a lot of attorney referrals.
So my question for you is like, as somebody who wants to stay like plugged into marketing, like what do you need the most in terms of like executing your vision that you can't do yourself?
For me, I think what you're going to find, and I think this is going to be common, is most attorneys who have a desire to really focus on marketing are not executors, are not integrators. They aren't great at getting things done, typically. They're kind of visionaries, they're creatives. So that's what would complement me the most is implement, like just people that like, where my job is just to make the videos, build the relationships, like kind of come up with the playbook, but they implement the plays and make sure that pieces move together like they should to support the lawyer that's the face of the firm.
So, just for me to get a little bit clarity on what you mean by that. So, like, you need an implementer and an executor. Is that pretty much?
Let me back up. Okay, so
Okay.
EOS, you have an integrator and a visionary typically in a exceptional company. And I was in one of John Knockhazel's mastermind little subgroups at John Fisher. Shout out John Fisher. He's the GOAT. His mastermind. And John Knockhazel gave me the best compliment anybody's ever given me. I'm bragging right now. So he told me I kind of have the integrator and the visionary like in one. And apparently that's unusual. But I'm a forced integrator though. Like I'm a natural visionary. It comes easy. It gives me energy. I love it. But I can integrate or implement systems kind of under the EOS model and like run the day-to-day type stuff when I have to. And I've had to because I'm a 33-year-old, new lawyer, relatively new lawyer. But now the next step in my progression as a law firm owner is to just be the visionary. Trial attorney and visionary. That's the only two things that I want to do is just handle the marketing, handle the leadership, high level stuff, and then litigate our biggest, hairiest cases, basically.
Was there something that you wanted us to go over that we didn't really get to talk about?
So Probably my favorite thing to talk about that we haven't talked about is virtual assistants. I'm a big believer in offshore and nearshore assistants at your law firm. Um, some of the best members that I have working for me work in other countries. I've got people that have worked for me for over 3 years overseas, and it's allowed me to scale my law firm without getting overwhelmed and without having to use a line of credit, things like that. And it's also allowed me to hire better people. And so what I've found is I have a big staff. I have 18 people that work on my team. And instead of hiring virtual assistants because they're cheaper and trying to save money, pocket the money, I just have a bigger team. So we have like 1.5 people for every job. And there's downsides to that, but I think that the upside outweighs the downside. So I'm a big believer in that. The project I'm working on currently is trying to implement more technology. We have a ton of software that we don't use, and we're trying to figure out how to integrate our existing software. What do we need to add? What do we need to take off? And then how do we implement AI? I have not decided how we're going to implement AI yet. I think that's about it. I'm trying to think if there's any interesting marketing stuff that we're doing.
I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing a ton. And, me personally, like I have two marketers who are nearshore, both out of Mexico. One's a project manager with marketing experience, the other's my video editor, one. And they're absolutely fantastic. And it's extremely hard for small businesses like yours and mine to hire somebody with those like specialist marketing skills at even close to an affordable rate. And I also have an executive assistant and a US, based employee. And my executive assistant, she does a ton of stuff for me. I could not live without this woman. Like I honestly couldn't. And if I talk too much about it, I'll start crying. It's like, oh, don't take away my EA. Don't take away Glenda from me. But yeah, it's such a huge opportunity for people who are in her position who you can't afford an in-house full-time marketer in the US. That's a high bar. But you can, and you can give somebody, good experience and maybe a better salary than they're able to get jobs within their own country. So I absolutely love it. And I honestly couldn't run my business without it.
I have a
But
question. So
yeah,
I have had a ton of success on the operations side of my law firm hiring offshore and nearshore. I mean, our whole pre-lit department is outside the U.S. I've been unsuccessful with marketing hires though. And so where did you have you talked about that on your show before? Is that something you talked about?
I mean, let's just say no, and I don't mind talking about it again. So, like, my experience with that is like you can train like a generalized, I guess, EA or executive assistant on some marketing tasks. They're very, if you can give them a checklist and an understandable, easy outcome, it's perfect. But for marketing work, you really just need those specialists, and they come at maybe a little bit higher price point than like a generic VA. But they come with really good experience. So one of the marketers I'm working with, he has a master's in marketing. He taught at a university in Mexico. He taught marketing. He did graphic design for Toyota for a little bit. He's working for one of my law firms, and I'll pat myself on the back. I was worried I didn't have very much to teach this man, but fortunately for me, he didn't know anything about legal marketing, and so he's able to do some high level design and create some really quality content. Honestly, I'm really impressed with his work. I mean, miles beyond what I could produce. But he needs a fair bit of guidance on how to make it work for legal marketing. And, also we all have our core competencies. I have tech abilities that he doesn't. But as far as like taste and design, this man is excellent. And so there's a lot of collaboration that can be had. You can get somebody with some deep experience in marketing, and they'll do some really high level work for you. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I would love to have I would love to have a video editor, and I've interviewed some. I just I'm a bit of a control freak and want to have higher quality stuff and things like that. I'm starting to get better. I'm starting to get better and let like Paris is posting now totally on her own. Basically, I don't approve hardly anything.
Well, I mean, I got to count them, including myself. Like 3 of my clients have like a dedicated graphic designer or video nearshore, usually out of Mexico, and they're the ones making the best looking content. Um, and it is really impressive what they can do. So if that's what you need, like I can hook you up with the company that I go through. I can give you the guy's name. But I think there's more than one. Like I don't make any money off this recommendation, so I'm not married to it. But they've certainly worked out for me. And yeah, I love working with them. Great people. And also they speak Spanish, which is very much a failing of mine. So it's hard for me to review Spanish marketing copy when my client's doing Spanish marketing. So kind of a built-in perk. Well, I appreciate you talking with me and taking the time today. It was a pleasure kind of getting to know you a little bit better. So if you want people to learn more about you, where should they reach out to you?
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Facebook, I'm super active. Easy enough to find on Google, just wherever.
Well, it's good to hear that you're happy with your SEO presence. I've always been very happy with mine because there's really only one Tiffany Swedensky. The other one doesn't spell her name the same way I do. So I have that feather in my cap. So I'm also happy with my SEO presence. But thank you so much. And I guess we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Tiff. Bye.